Welcome to Ask and Learn.
This question asks us to look at some different statements about calcium oxide forming from calcium and oxide ions and look at how those ionic compounds um, kind of form based on some statements that sort of justify the formation of calcium oxide from calcium 2 plus cations and oxygen or oxide anions. The first statement basically says even though both of these processes involve energy, energy to create an oxide anion and a calcium cation. Overall, the production of calcium oxide is favorable. Is it favorable because the lattice energy is like super negative for calcium oxide? And this is a true statement. And if we look at the formation of, lattice energy, and I kind of draw sort of a simplistic diagram for this, there's going to be a series of attractions that take place throughout the entire structure, holding together positively charged calcium ions and negatively charged um, anions. And this process is going to continue into an overall lattice that helps stabilize the overall ionic charges here. So much, in fact, that it can overcome pretty easily the energy required to uh, make calcium cations and oxygen anions. This is going to be the best explanation for why this is a favorable process overall in forming calcium oxide. Um, Answer choice B here is simply a false statement. Calcium oxide does not involve covalent bonds. We can see here that it's truly ionic bonds between oppositely charged calcium and oxygen ions. Answer choice C here is also a false statement. Basically says that the molecular weight is different for calcium oxide than it is the individual ions. And really, that has nothing to do with why this is a stable compound, and it's a false statement. The molecular weight shouldn't be any different between the ions versus the compound itself. Answer choice D here says the heat or enthalpy of formation for calcium oxide is a small number. Well, that really wouldn't help explain, um, why the overall formation is a good thing or a favorable thing if there's not a lot of energy released in the process. And that's also a false statement. There is an appreciable amount of negative energy given off when calcium oxide forms from its constituent calcium and oxygen elements, and this certainly wouldn't help explain either why it's a favorable process if that energy is a small number. Finally, answer choice E, again, really kind of has nothing to do with the formation of calcium oxide. It says that it is stable in the atmosphere. Again, it's kind of a non-factor here in terms of helping explain why calcium oxide would form from its elements if it's already a compound. So the best explanation really comes from the lattice energy up here that says, a lot of lattice energy or stability in the lattice compound really does help to offset the energy effects that have to be put into making calcium and oxide ions, and the stability of that lattice energy really helping to um, make this formation into the calcium oxide compound.